Yeah, hey everybody. Hi everyone. This is Manoj Sharmani. I am your host for the SalesIntel show, The Pipeline Pioneers, where our goal is to learn from the experts and the leaders, from the practitioners as to how to generate the most optimal pipeline. As we know, pipeline is the heartblood of any company, and generating pipeline is a team sport. You can't just allocate to BDR teams or marketing teams or AEs. It truly takes a village to build a pipeline that converts into revenue. Today, I am excited to have Jonathan with me. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Big fan of SalesIntel and excited to talk all things pipeline.
Thank you. Thanks, Jonathan. We really appreciate it. So, to kick things off, Jonathan, why don't you tell our audience about you, about your business, and how, in your role, do you help influence the pipeline for the business?
Yeah, a little bit about me. I'm a career marketer. I've spent the majority of my career in B2B marketing with a accidental journey into craft beer for a bit. But throughout all of my marketing experience, I always felt like content wasn't getting the attention that it deserved. We'd promote it for 2 days and then we'd be on to the next piece of content and promote it for 2 days. And we're like hitting this law of diminishing returns. So the juice is here to help companies build content through their existing, or help companies build pipeline through their existing content, create and convert pipeline. And so, we're a seed stage company as far as my role goes in creating and generating pipeline. We started as founder-led sales. Once we felt like we got to a point where I'd kind of maxed out my capacity on that. And, we felt like it was repeatable enough. We brought in a great sales leader. And so her and I, Kate is her name, we do a lot of pipeline generating ourselves. We've done everything from outbound, which I'm happy to talk about, events, paid, organic. But it was really fun. I really enjoy founder-led sales, even being a career marketer. I loved being in that sales seat, and still to this day am spend the majority of my time, I would say, practicing on the founder-led sales path.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's the only way to do it in the early days, right? So, Jonathan, last year was tough for a lot of companies, right? There were not enough pipelines. The pipelines that were there didn't convert to revenue. Couple that with the macroeconomic headwinds and the buying cycles getting longer, there were a lot of mistakes that we all made. Is there one thing that comes to mind for you from last year that you think, gosh, I wish I had done things differently?
You know, I I think a mistake was actually doing something we started to do last year and we didn't start it sooner. We had up to this point, relied a lot on our network and content and collaborating with other brands to create content to drive pipeline. About midway through the year, we had closed the seed round of fundraising, and our board was like, "Great, it's time to get out and market, and you should go meet all of your customers in person." I said, "Great, no problem." Myself being a marketer, I was like, all right, I know this playbook. I can turn this into field marketing as well while I'm out there, right? So sure enough, I went out into market and started meeting customers and trying to do dinners and tagging on to conferences that are happening and different events that are just happening in the market. And like that started working for us right away. And I always kind of personally, it was a blessing and a curse because it worked great, which was great for the business. But personally, it meant I was spending a ton of time on the road. But it was great. I enjoyed it. And, I think if we had just been comfortable getting a little more uncomfortable early on and getting out in market, I think it would have helped us grow even faster. So I think like, maybe just breaking the B2B playbook a little bit sooner, or not just relying on like paid and traditional digital channels. That field marketing really drove pipeline for us, both in number of deals and in dollars associated with deals.
That's great. So not only did you go and meet with all your clients, but while you were there in the city, you had prospects also come for a dinner or for an event.
I always say, and I learned this lesson from a mentor of mine, breaking bread is the best marketing strategy. And I think even beyond that, when you've got a table that has a customer or two that are happy and a few prospects, that's a home. You can't be that. There's no better marketing strategy than that, in my opinion. So that's what we aim to do. Sometimes we were successful. Sometimes it ended up just being customers. Sometimes it ended up just being prospects. But for 50 to $100 a head, there was no better return than that.
That's awesome, man. I'm gonna steal your line. Breaking bread is the best way to generate pipeline.
I like it. I can't exactly take credit for it either, but I'll let you take credit for it.
That's awesome, man. So new year is here, new budgets, new initiatives, new experiments. What are you most excited about for 2024?
Yeah, so we're being much more strategic. I kind of hate that word because I think sometimes we just say it and don't know what it means, but we're building a plan around field marketing and having it for 12 months. And now it'll be interesting because we're going back to some of the same events, going back to some of the same markets. Will we see diminishing returns? Will we see the same impact that we saw last year? And then we're going to make some actual bets, we're going to actually make some investments in potentially sponsorships or hosting events, or doing kind of like a traditional field marketing event or happy hour, finding the right partners to partner with. So we're increasing the investment in field marketing a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see if the return is correlated in the increased investment, or if we see some diminishing returns and we learn from that and pivot very quickly as well.
Awesome, awesome. Well, off that, let's switch the gears. I'm going to share my screen with you here, Jonathan.
I
As
like
we
it.
know,
Yep.
growth comes from many channels, right? And as CEOs and as head of go-to-market teams, our responsibility is to make sure that we allocate the limited resources that we have efficiently, right? So in this case, you have 100 pennies and you have many channels, and your goal is to place these bets, make the distribution of these 100 pennies in a way where you generate the most optimal pipeline for your business. So, how do you think you will invest these 100 pennies?
Can I get more pennies? How do I get more pennies? I feel like it's a trick
That
question. I want more pennies.
don't
Uh,
we all? Don't we all?
yes, yes. Okay, so let's do based on what I just said, event-led growth.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do at least 30% there. So three of the 30
I
pennies.
love it. I
I
love your
might come back
focus.
to that. We're gonna start with 30 though.
Yep.
Founder-led, I'm gonna do at least let's do 20 there
Okay.
to start with. I think we're a small team, and I think me being sitting in the seat, having the um intimate knowledge or experience, shared experience with our buyer who's a marketer is always helpful.
Yep.
Let's do 20 into customer-led growth. We've actually already seen this in Q1. Referrals have been a big increase for us. Making sure our customers feel empowered and have the resources needed to refer people to us. It wasn't something that we had done super intentionally, but we've seen started to work, and so we're pouring more into.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Brand, let's do 10 pennies.
Okay.
I'm a marketer, always a big believer in brand.
Brand.
Sales, let's do 10. Hmm. I'm going to throw another 10 more pennies back in the event. We're just going to pour into it. I'm a big believer in, if you've got something that's working, pour into it until you see diminishing returns, and we haven't yet. So that's how I would do it, and then I'd go try to find some more pennies for the others.
That's great. That's awesome. So I would love for you to double down, just double click on events. What type of events are working for you? Are those big events where you have a huge booth that you're investing, or this is where you go to smaller events? Just break it down for us.
Yeah, great question. We do not invest in booths. We've done two booths. We probably did 20 events last year, and we did two booths. One of those was sort of a trade, so it didn't really cost us anything. The other was a small investment. We were the charging station at an event. We weren't even like a booth, right? What we do is we will go to events. Oftentimes, we're not even buying a ticket. We're just being in market with the event. A great example of this. I hope they're not listening and I don't get in trouble for this. We're going to go to Forrester B2B Summit down in Austin in May, right? We're not buying a ticket to the event, but we're going to have a customer dinner. Fortunately enough for us, there's a juice bar
Yeah,
right across the street from the convention center.
I like
So
it.
we're going to camp out there, myself and Kate, and we're going to invite people and have people get juice on the juice. They're going to put
Yeah,
it on our tab and meet with people there. So we're extremely scrappy. And we're trying to do some of our own activations around events, as well as take advantage of some of the other brands' activations around the events. The other example I'll give is I went to Inbound last year. I've been to Inbound a lot of times just based on the size of our business. Again, we didn't buy a ticket, didn't buy a booth. I sat in the hotel lobby across from the Boston Convention Center, met everybody I needed to meet, met some new people, and it was an extremely successful event for us. So for now, I'm not like anti-booth. I think there are right and wrong ways to do the booth experience, but right now we're just being extremely scrappy in terms of our investment into those events.
Which makes sense. Which makes sense. So this is great. Jonathan, let's take a look at how community, this slide shows you how community has distributed their 100 pennies, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to overlay your data on top of it. So orange is yours against the blue in community. When you look at this chart and the comparison, what jumps out? Or is there something that surprises you to say, you know what, gosh, I never thought this would be the case?
I'm surprised that, I mean, I don't know the exact breakdown of the persona you've talked to. Sales led being high. We used to outsource some outbound sales support, and it was inconsistent, I will say, both in terms of quantity and quality. And so Kate and I now just kind of work our network, and we have some cadencing, but I think the outbound, and sales led doesn't necessarily mean just pure outbound, but I think that playbook is changing a lot right now. I'm surprised more people aren't pouring into events. Actually, I think the event playbook is also changing. I think there are a lot of people who are decreasing investments in booths and traditional sponsorships and doing a lot of the like sidecar activations. But I have, and we sell to marketers, so maybe that's, I'm a little marketer centric as well, but we've had a lot of great conversations and talked to a lot of brands that are really pouring into events in a big way.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for sharing these nuggets. I'm sure our community is going to appreciate and get value out of this.
Of course, thanks for having me.